Action camera. Good afternoon. I'm here today because of recent decisions by the Supreme Court that many of us find very troubling. All 6 of the Supreme Court justices who moved to overturn Roe v. Wade had stated in their confirmation hearings that the 1973 decision guaranteed a woman's right to access to an abortion. Similarly, 5 of the justices who ruled that a president has near absolute immunity from prosecution also testified at their confirmation hearings that no president is above the law. Finally, in overturning the Chevron doctrine, these same justices removed important protections for the citizens of our country and in doing so also placed our environment at considerable risk. We gather here today to address these and other grievances that we have with the one branch of government that does not include a single elected official and whose positions are appointments for life. Grievances in part because these officials have lied to our elected representatives in their confirmation hearings and turned our democracy hard right towards being a monarchy. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce our next speaker.
We are here at the Alfred Araj United States Courthouse in Denver to protest the Supreme Court and what they have become. 2 years ago, they overturned Roe v. Wade, which had been the law for 50 years. This was against what the entire country, the majority of the country, wanted. They have decided women are second-class citizens. We don't deserve to make decisions about our own bodies because they know better. This is an outrage. It has caused complete chaos. Women have died because of their ruling. More women will die or have their health severely impacted. The Supreme Court is out of control and they must be stopped. And remember, who put the 6 justices in positions of power? It was Republicans. You cannot vote Republican if you are a woman. You need to vote for yourself and for your sisters and vote Democrat. We cannot have a Republican in the White House.
Never forget what they have taken away from us.
Supposedly, Roe v. Wade was settled law, according to those who ruled to eliminate that protection.
This flag represents a democracy. When they took away women's rights, they've destroyed that.
In 1984, the Supreme Court established this Chevron deference, and recently they have just totally destroyed it. This decision is not immediately as impactful as Roe versus Wade or the presidential immunity ruling, but it has the potential to be carcinogenic to our democracy in the long term in a very similar way to Citizens United. The Chevron deference is a precedent put forward by the Supreme Court that allows regulators and scientists, the people with actual PhDs and doctorates in human physiology, in environmental chemistry and medicine, to interpret the environmental protections in our democracy, to interpret the environmental protections put forward by regulators and by Congress in a way so that the people who are actually judging our laws and determining what companies can and cannot do are people who are experts and people who have your best interest in mind. Yesterday, the Supreme Court overturned that ruling. They said that the Supreme Court, know best on how to regulate your health. They say that if a company wants to go ahead and disagrees with the federal ruling, they can go ahead and just call up any Republican appointed judge in the U.S. they want. They can call Matthew Karras back and say, we do not like this ruling. We would like you to interpret it so that we can dump as much fucking pollution in the river that you want. They'd allow them to do that today. Scientists have a word for what this kind of behavior is. They call it the revenge of the C students, where you have scientists and doctors who crafted intricately and are arguing for their interpretation of the law can all be overturned because some random lawyer says that I have a better understanding of the science than you do. This flag represents the death. This decision represents the death of science and expertise in our democracy. And I, frankly, am very worried about what this is going to mean for our future.
If you care about the environment, if you care about airplane safety, if you care about the myriad of ways that the administrative law protects you now and no longer does because the Supreme Court knows better, then you better reform the Supreme Court now. They have destroyed deference.
This flag no longer represents a democracy of the free and the brave, but of the cowards who have cowed to corporations because of the actions to remove the protections of the Chevron doctrine, which was established in 1984. What the Supreme Court has done is remove from scientists their ability to help guide us to resolving the sixth great extinction, to remove the protections for future generations of children from the worst harms of climate change. And finally, this flag represents the most recent and most outrageous decision by the Supreme Court that Donald Trump or any president might have nearly unlimited immunity from prosecution. This is ridiculous on the face, as it turns our democracy into a monarchy where no president moving forward can be fully held accountable for the most egregious criminal actions. Not just Donald Trump, but any president. This is the thing that monarchies and anything but a democracy is made of. Immunity for the president shall not stand.
What's ultimately frustrating about this decision is that you have two parties left in the United States. One party sees a dictatorial monarchy as an ultimate end goal. And then another party, when given the powers of a dictatorial monarchy, says, oh, now that we have the powers of a dictatorial monarchy, I will do nothing about it. Please vote for me instead of the person who wants to make this a dictatorial monarchy. Biden, with these new powers as president, could very easily place all the Supreme Court justices under house arrest and prevent them from making any more rulings. And any sane president who cared about protecting our country from fascism would do exactly that. He is a fucking coward, and he must leave the White House and leave the position of the presidency open for future generations.
If you are feeling like me, given the complete politicization of the Supreme Court and how illegitimate they have become, and the fact that they clearly don't consider them subject to the rule of law, they don't rule based on the rule of law, but on their ideology, which is free reign for business to trample Americans' rights, which is to take away the bodily autonomy of women, which is to decide it's not an obstruction of justice to go and break into the Capitol unless you did something with a piece of paper. Their rulings are outrageous. Giving complete immunity to a president is an outrage. That is completely against what the founders of our country wanted. It's completely against what the founders of our country fought for. It was to end monarchy, not give the president complete power. If you're feeling outraged, as I am, if you're feeling deep depression at the state of our country and how our democracy is slipping away, as I am, you cannot just curl up. You have to act. You must act. Demand from Congress that they enact Supreme Court reform now. One of those would look like an actual enforceable code of conduct. The fact that Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito did not recuse themselves from the absolute immunity decision in Trump v. United States is deeply disturbing. They both supported the insurrection on January 6th. Alito has flown insurrection flags at his home and his vacation home. Justice Thomas, as we know, is absolutely corrupt and has taken bribes for years. He is wholly owned. Justice Thomas's wife actively supported the insurrection and the big lie that Trump won the election. Actively supported and colluded with the White House. And he did not recuse himself because the court has no code of conduct that is enforceable. Congress also must act immediately and enact term limits. Back when the court was first brought into being, we did not have such long lives. They never ever would have intended that justices would sit as long as they do. Justices now can affect our lives, removed from the actual everyday to-day life of America for multiple presidential terms. This is an outrage. The fact that the Supreme Court majority, they really have no idea what the daily American wants or needs or believes. We didn't want Roe v. overturned. We didn't want them to create a monarchy. We didn't want them to decide guns are more important than children's lives. We have got to stop them. Demand Congress enact term limits on the Supreme Court now. Demand that all 6 illegitimate justices resign that came out with this atrocious, undemocratic ruling. If you're not afraid for your democracy, you're not paying attention. This is what they've done to our flag, to our democracy. They have made a mockery of it. They have burned our democracy down. We can't let them get away with it. We cannot let them get away with burning our democracy down. Act now. Demand change.
Should we throw the constitutions in there too? Okay.
Give me one.
Okay, fine, I'll give you one. It's burning right now.
I want to thank everybody who stood here today to call out the outrageousness that we've all seen unfolding before our eyes. Essentially, 6 justices primarily have destroyed this Constitution of the United States.
And you put the fire out front.
Almost.
Don't let them continue to destroy our Constitution. I hold the Constitution dearly. I won't let them continue to do this. Join me, act now.